All right, eighth graders, now that we've talked through some of the housekeeping for CS, I want to get you started on your first CS problem and first CS assignment. As I mentioned already, it's due by Friday, but you're going to have plenty of time to complete it in class today. Your first problem is called Birthday Guess. It's going to be found on Shobi. If you don't have Shobi on your iPad, your teacher can give you a hard copy of the problem, or if you just prefer to work on it as a hard copy, that's fine as well. So if you go to Shobi and if you go to the CS folder, you will see Birthday Guess. And under your shared items, or actually under your name, you will see some instructions as well as the assignment itself. So let me just click on this and it will walk through the instructions. The overview is this. A big group of 15 guests is getting together at a restaurant for a birthday. The restaurant has 3 tables that can each seat only 5 people. Below you can find some information about the people who are attending the party. Here's the list of the 15 people attending the party. Now underneath that, you will find close friends who your goal is to try to put them together, and then folks who are in a fight, so you want to keep them apart. Here is the objective. Find the best possible arrangement of guests at the party. Draw in your solution in the space below so you can write their names in here. To help, you can cross out the letters of the names after you've assigned them in the row below. So for example, you'll notice that each kid's letter or name starts with a letter of the alphabet here. So I can, if I've placed Aisha, I can cross out the A. If I've placed Ben, I can cross out the B. Your job is to find the best possible seating arrangement. And then once you're done, ignore this right here, but I do want you to write the strategy that you used. How did you exactly solve the problem? If you need to write on a separate page, then make an additional page. And once you're done with that, you will upload this back into Shobi. Homeroom teachers, if you can pause the video, give your kids probably 6 or 7 minutes to work on that, and then they can submit it back to Shobi. You can unpause the video after those 6 or 7 minutes are done. Now that you've completed that assignment or pretty close, again, make sure that you've answered at the bottom of the page, what was your strategy to solve this problem? The question is, well, what did that problem exactly have to do with computer science? Here's the point. Computer science is about solving problems using computers. So, even though that problem seemed kind of silly, perhaps, there are people who have found problems like this website, megaseatingplan.com, which is for teachers primarily, where they allow you to input class lists, and then they have provided and created algorithms for creating a seating strategy. So I could do boy, girl, random, alphabetical. I can add social distancing seating. I can arrange students by certain things. I can even turn avoid mode on, so I can click on certain students and have them avoided, like not sitting next to each other. And then it'll generate for me a seating plan. So you can see that it doesn't take a lot to solve a computer science problem, but it starts with you finding a good problem to solve. And people like Mega Seating Plan are making money by selling advertisements here to other sites. So that brings up a second point. If CS about solving problems using computers, well, let's just get on the same page regarding a definition of a computer. Is this a computer? Yes or no? What about this? You can share with your homeroom teacher if you think that's a computer. Well, what about this right here? Are those items computers? Well, homeroom teachers, I'm going to ask that you pause the video right here. You go to our shared doc homeroom teachers and click on the link for video number 2. Let that play, and once you're done with video number 2, come back to this video and finish it up. Now that you're done watching that video, hopefully you've learned that a computer can ipso. A computer can input, process, store, and output. Now, if you were here in fifth grade, this might be refreshing some memories because we discussed this, but I just wanted to get us on the same page regarding that. So let's revisit these items. Can this, ipso, can it input? Um, yeah, I suppose it can input items. Can it process? Meaning, can it turn something into something else? I would say that no, a storage drive or a hard drive is just storing and it's outputting. So it can input, store, and output, but it can't process. What about a thermometer? Can it input? Yes. Can it process? I would argue yes, because whatever the temperature is, it's processing it and turning it into a number. Can it store? Yeah, I would say yes, even though it might be for like 2 seconds, the number of the or the temperature is displaying here. Can it output? Yeah, I mean it's outputting right here. All right, what about a satellite? Can it input? Yes, I would say that it's inputting, it's bringing information in. Is it processing anything? I don't know about that. I guess it depends on the satellite. I would say that a satellite's probably connected to a computer somewhere, which is doing all of the processing. Is it storing information? I would again argue that it's probably the computer or the hard drive it's connected to. And yes, it is outputting. So I would argue that a satellite by itself is not a computer. And finally, a remote control. Well, this one's really debatable. Can it input? Yeah, when you click on a button, it's inputting something. Is it processing anything? This is where it's tricky because some remotes you can actually record your voice or you can store different channels, etc. And so some remotes can store, some can't. And can it output? Yes, all remotes can output a signal to the TV. So in light of that, here's what I'd like for you to do. Get out your iPad at this point and let's start writing down some notes. Homeroom teachers, you may need to pause just to make sure that the kids have written down all the notes here. But let's write down our first note. You can make a new note in Good Notes or Notability. You could call it What is a Computer? And this is our first note. Computer science is solving problems using computers. A computer can ipso, meaning it can input, process, store, and output. What are the areas of computer science? Well, there's coding and programming, which many of you know. There's artificial intelligence, which we'll talk about this semester. Networks and systems. How do things connect? How does the internet work? Ethics. Even though we can do certain things, should we do certain things? And especially related to artificial intelligence. Cybersecurity, how do you hack? How do people break into systems? How do they get information from servers? How do they steal information from credit cards? Algorithms, finding ways to solve problems and putting those problems in a way that a computer can understand. Data and analysis, so using computers to either generate data on or use data to generate graphics, analyze data to analyze, especially with COVID, you've seen a lot of websites that talk about the dispersion of COVID, states that are heavy in COVID, etc. And lastly, gaming and graphics. And of course, if you remember me from fifth grade, I love using acronyms. And so a computer can not only ipso, input, process, store, output, but it can, the areas of computer science are CANE-CADG, CANECADG. I know, I hear you groaning in your homerooms. I see you rolling your eyes. You're not surprising me here. But I know you will remember things. As we wrap up, your second assignment is on Shobi. I want you to answer these questions on Shobi. You'll notice that on Shobi, for these, there's also a rubric for how I will grade your responses. And so I just want you to think through these questions, look through the rubric, and let me know if you have any questions. This assignment is due also this Friday by 4 p.m. Thanks so much. Great job. Have a great rest of the day.